Buick stylists, engineers, and craftsmen have something to show you. They have ranged far and wide in seeking inspirational ideas and advanced techniques for the creation of the all-new 1954 Buicks. And the result is a blend of art and science rare in the world of motoring. There is trend-setting fashion and meticulous attention to detail, combined with natural grace and classic beauty. There is micro-measured precision, bulwarked by massive ruggedness. Breathtaking power harnessed to safe, solid comfort. There is a symphony of new colors, some suave, some bold, all beautiful. And in this setting, a host of exciting and fascinating new convenience devices, things you had thought still to be years away. All this value, you say, in one car, at a price I can afford? It must be a beautiful buy. And so it is. We'll let your own eyes prove it to you. First, we open the curtains on a fast-moving fashion show of Buick beauties. See if your overall impression isn't first in fashion for 54. Curtain raiser and eye-opener is the glamorous new 1954 Buick Special four-door sedan. Go ahead. Drink deep of the magic in that lithe and lovely profile. Want action, it asks? Just try me. You know it's a Buick, but definitely an all-new Buick. Some 3 inches lower, a longer wheelbase of 122 inches, and so sleek. It's hard to believe this beauty will fit into the budget of almost all of America's new car buyers. And what a variety of new styles and colors. Perhaps your choice is the Buick Special 2-door sedan in Marlin Blue, or the Special Riviera, the handsome and popular hardtop, or the poised and lively Special Convertible. What a thrill to own this beauty of a bargain. Now, do they show antiques here too? No, this is just to recall to mind the 1941 Buick Century, one of the very top performers of its day. And Buick now brings back to its line this famous old name, in fabulous new fashion, the all-new 1954 Buick Century. And what changes time hath wrought. More than just meet the eye, too. Tell you about it later. But just as a hint, at the wheel of this car, or its flashing companion, Century Riviera, it will take nothing less than a jet pursuit plane to outperform you. Equally newsworthy, but in a more sedate way, is the entirely new, all-steel Buick Estate Wagon for 1954. This fine Buick gives a boost to the growing popularity of this body style with America's growing families. And it would take some family to fill those spacious 206 inches from bumper to bumper of this super-safe, big-capacity model. Inside, the Buick Estate Wagon has sedan front seat construction and appointments, including two-tone metal finish. Notice the colorful dark Cordovine seats with lighter pleated Cordovine bolster. It looks like a million. Yet, as another of Buick's amazing 54 values, all this car, with its rich quality and prestige, is available not only in the striking all-new Century series, but also in the Buick Special series, well within the reach of buyers in the lowest priced field. How's that for value? A Buick Estate Wagon, just a step above the lowest priced field. Now, the next Buick beauty truly lives up to its name. The Super Series, represented here by this 1954 Super Riviera. You know, the super smart hardtop styling originated by Buick in the Riviera some years back is the most copied fashion in years. But no car can imitate Buick's Riviera styling and all that goes with it in this long, low, gracefully contoured car. Now, with a 127-inch wheelbase, it has its own distinctive beauty. and has won its own tremendous following of people who think this model is in every way, well, just super. Others in this series are the Super four-door sedan, shown here as a masterpiece in Titian red, and this glorious Super convertible in still a different shade, Matador red. We'd like to linger here, but we better step along and step up to, the mighty new Buick Roadmaster. Top styling for the top car in the fine car field. A new Roadmaster Riviera, a new pinnacle of achievement in the art of motor car design. As well expressed by this four-door sedan, never was a car so aptly named. Roadmaster, companion in prestige with its owner, truly master of the road. And for final emphasis on that statement, picture yourself on the highway in an out-of-this-world Roadmaster convertible. It lifts your spirits just to look at it. What a dazzling lineup of Buicks for 1954. The Special, the Century, the Super, and up front, Roadmaster. A total of 14 glamorous models in 4 great series. And now that you've had a quick overall view of the line, let's follow the example of the connoisseurs of flawless beauty and see in detail how Buick design engineering has created an exclusive fashion original. Feast your eyes first on an entirely new front-end design with its narrower, more numerous grille bars of long-lasting, lustrous chrome. These give added strength and a sophisticated new look to the front, enhanced by the completely restyled bumper and bomb-type guards, which point the way ahead with massive, streamlined simplicity. There is even new styling of the headlamp field, with an air of sterling silverware quality about it. Notice how neat and compact is the light arrangement, with the same sort of precious metal artistry reflected in the V bomb sight atop the hood. Here is classic sculptured beauty, with a modern style sparkle, well worthy of the craftsman's signature in this new Buick's new name design. Now, here's something America has never seen before. The most advanced step in years in windshield and corner pillar design. Notice the style-setting distinctive reverse slant to the pillar on Special and Century models, cutting back to provide for the first time clear, unobstructed corner vision. The windshields themselves give 19% more visibility than ever before, being up to 6 inches wider. Truly panoramic vision at its best. The pillar styling is vertical, like this, for Super and Roadmaster series. Fresh, fashionable, and maintaining maximum vision. Also in these models, there's this modern and practical built-in sun visor. The effect from the driver's view is like looking out under the extended roofline of a modern ranch home, giving clear, yet protected glare-free vision. Still another feature of this series is this new roof rail cove over front and rear sedan doors, permitting ventilation even in rainy weather. And speaking of your comfort, note this new full-width high air intake for the ventilating system. How smoothly this newly styled feature is blended into the contour. And it's engineered so that rain can't enter the car even when driving in a downpour. Now for some side view styling, fresh as sunshine after a rain. This smart new contour at the belt line graces the two-door Rivieras and convertibles in all 1954 series and contributes a jaunty sports car note. You'll love, too, the new styling of the famous Buick Sweep Spear. It's neater, more graceful, slim as a swallow in flight. There are minor design variations in different series. Moving up front again, you see that the hood and fender are just about level, the fender providing a high guideline for accurate steering vision. And you've certainly noticed those newly designed Buick fender ports. For, as always on Roadmaster, and 3 on other series. Here's the sports car touch again, in that fully exposed rear wheel. This is still another Buick exclusive, a feature of all 2-door Rivieras and convertibles. Complete wire wheels are optional on all Century, Super, and Roadmaster models. And this is the new fashion plate wheel with cover, standard for Roadmasters, optional on other series. New beauty, yes, coming or going. The deck lid is wider and higher. The rear window, 4.5 inches wider. And there is an entirely new deck lid ornament, the Buick tricolor in striking new design. The rear license plate is completely illuminated from both sides. New backup lights are relocated with an eye to both appearance and efficiency. And the massive new rear bumper gives complete wraparound protection to the fender. A safe and smart assembly. Next, we'd like to show you inside. And as long as we're at the rear of the car, let's look at trunk capacity. As you might expect, design progress has not been overlooked here. Every series has more usable luggage room. Now, with that 54 Buick knack of combining the useful with the brilliant, let's move in for a close-up of the completely new Buick instrument panel. Its rich, restful color and design you can well see. This arrangement is that of Special and Century models. Smart new controls and instruments are compactly clustered for brilliant new visibility and convenience. Just look over this panel for a moment while the operator changes the record. Forward is our chance to tell you, remember, about some of the exciting and fascinating new convenience devices for which Buick engineers have reached into the future and brought you today. All 54 Buicks have these airplane-type controls for ventilators, heater, and defroster. You can pilot your way in any weather with perfect comfort for driver or passengers in any part of the car, thanks to the great selectivity of temperature and outside air. Surprise number 2, the new Redliner speedometer in Supers and Roadmasters. The first real innovation in this department in many years. As the car starts moving, watch the red line. A linear bar of color moves across to the right, gives your speed at a glance. We predict this will set a new standard in the industry. And here are more new ideas. A new power-operated front seat, optional in Super and Roadmaster models. Just touch a control, and the seat moves up, down, back, or forward. All 4 directions. No effort whatsoever. Next, some more Buick Power Magic, optional on all series. Electric raising radio antenna. Automatic window lifts, now electrically operated. Buick air conditioning for 1954, with its exclusive dual roof ducts that distribute cooled air evenly throughout the car. Yes, no doubt about it. When you're behind this new steering wheel, you're in command of a new kind of car that gives you what you want, when you want it. You're literally in the lap of luxury, too, as you sink into the soft, gracious beauty of Buick's gorgeous interiors. This particular 2-tone custom trim is yours in the Special. Note the smart, durable pleated cordovine bolster atop the seat. In the rear compartment of this Special, you get the same harmonious beauty. And there is more roominess in all models than ever before in the traditionally roomy Buicks. As a variation, this red and gray Special Riviera custom trim makes a colorful yet soothing combination. The Century 4-door sedan is even more luxurious. This trim is available in a variety of colors. Pattern and texture of the fine nylon fabric in this Century custom trim. The exquisite tailoring invites your most critical inspection. This also comes in a custom blue with blue cordovine bolster. Here is a crisp, dramatic combination of yellow and black that seems made for spirited living. It is available in the special convertible. And should your ideal car be a Buick Super, you could start up here in the front compartment and select your way again through an unparalleled choice of colors. One of the many color interiors available is this Roadmaster Riviera green custom trim in a new design. This model also offers a bold black and red combination and a two-tone blue. Whatever your color preference, you're sure to find in a Buick just the tones you want. It's like having your home done to order by an exclusive interior decorator. The townhouse blue tone of this custom Roadmaster four-door sedan trim tops off our brief sampling of color and fabrics. Note the pleated seat, patterned cloth, and curved bolster ends. Here is coachwork done in perfect taste and latest fashion. You see, we meant what we said about Buick stylists sparing no effort to bring you the finest color symphony in all motordom. We promise, too, new power, precision, economy, and other great values created by Buick engineers and craftsmen. Well, here it is. Head and shoulders above all automotive engines is the mighty Buick Fireball V8, improved even more in performance and economy to a new Buick high of 200 horsepower with Dynaflow. And still more news, big news. Thanks to the tremendous public acceptance given this engine last year, Buick engineers proudly present an advanced V8 for the new Buick Special. This is the buy you've been waiting for, and it's even better than you thought. 150 horsepower in Dynaflow models, and a dynamic 8.1 to 1 compression ratio. And still more power pack news? Yes, we promised you something extraordinary in the way of the new Century's performance. Here it is. Buick engineers have combined a sturdy but minimum weight chassis with the sleek new Century body and put into it, yes sir, the biggest Buick Fireball of all, that terrific 200 horse engine with Dynaflow. The result? Well, just about what you'd expect. Performance of the century that made even last year's Roadmaster second best in actual test. And no wonder. The new Buick Century's power-to-weight ratio is sensational, the best in Buick's history. You've never driven anything till you've driven this car. Just try it. All Buick V8s for 1954 have vertical valves, hydraulic valve lifters, newly designed combustion chamber with power head pistons for more power and performance from less fuel, 12-volt electrical system, and many more of the most advanced engineering developments. Also in all series, an entirely new starting motor that starts faster with less battery drain, a new generator, new throttle control, just to mention a few highlights of this modern power plant. And transmitting power into motion, improved twin-turbine Dynaflow gives you the getaway of your life. Quieter, faster, smooth as silk. Once into action, you're off for Buick's renowned $1 million ride. And this year, make it $1 million plus. There's improved Buick safety power steering, optional, with a new steering ratio for faster and more positive control. Improved power brakes, optional, with a booster assuring full-time operation. New parallel steering linkage for steadier, safer control and less tire scuffing. Even the tires themselves are of new design for a quieter ride and more solid footing. So you see, down to the last detail, Buick stylists, engineers, and craftsmen have poured every talent into bringing you nothing but the best. If you should ask them, though, what is their particular pride and joy, they would show you the dazzling new darling of the line, new 1954 Buick Skylark. Here is more than beauty. Here is sheer poetry. Top down, ship-shape for roving, its flawless lines leave nothing to be desired. Every superb detail speaks eloquently of the highest of fashion. Trimmed down to racy European sports car compactness, it can be maneuvered and parked with effortless ease. Good things in small packages? Plenty of them. All of Buick's finest new features and accessories are standard in this born aristocrat, with everything power-operated that can be. Top, windows, radio antenna, and new four-way adjustable front seat. Wire wheels, too, are standard. Inside, fashion artists and skilled craftsmen have outdone themselves to prove how luxurious a car can be made. Beautifully harmonizing colors in genuine, soft-tanned, choice cowhide, tailored into shimmering new patterns, such as you see in that luscious bolster. The sports car design of this graceful, compact body just cries for action. And beauty is as beauty does. Built on a 122-inch chassis, powered with Buick's top V8 engine of 200 spirited horses, you can imagine the road sport of which the Skylark is capable. So you see, ready for you in the showroom, waiting to give you the intense thrill of actual ownership, are Buick's masterpieces of engineered art. We all owe it to ourselves to live life to its fullest and finest. And you can do it in the Skylark, which brings most of the future to 1954. In the mighty, distinguished new Roadmaster. In the superb Buick that is super in every way. In the beautifully performing all-new Century. Or in the special that brings top quality within reach of all. Any of these cars is an investment in personal pleasure that is justified by the extra measure of value received. So, for more in a motor car than you ever bargained for, in 54, choose Buick, the beautiful buy.
Act 1, 1930. Father brings home his first Packard and becomes a big man to his family. They feel they have arrived. They have a car that reflects success, prestige, proud to be seen in it. Act 2, time marches on. Packard loses its grip on prestige. Father retains his grip on one Packard after another. After all, he's stuck with a big investment. Trading out of the line means taking a loss. So, family pride suffers. Result? Frustration for father. Can't take it much longer. Act 3, Scene 1. Buick salesman convinces father that now is the time to make the break from Packard into Buick. The beautiful buy. More value than Packard at much lower price. And the result? Act 3, Scene 2. Father once more big man to his family. Everybody happy. Yes, life with father is bearable again. Everybody is glad their present car is a Buick. And here's why. Take the breadwinner himself. He's contented because he's made a good investment. As the salesman pointed out, Buick's volume production enables them to offer newer features and greater value for literally hundreds of dollars less right across the line. For example, the Buick Special runs $322 less than the Clipper Special. The Century, $296 less than the Clipper Super. The Buick Super, $602 less than the Cavalier. And the Roadmaster, $729 less than the Patrician. Buick convertibles run from $651 to $895 less than Packard convertibles, all with comparable equipment. What a price advantage to start out with. Or take hardtops, which Buick pioneered and where it still leads in total production. The Century Riviera runs $571 less than the Clipper Panama. Compared to the Pacific, the Roadmaster is $687 less. The Century, a big $1,038 less. Look at it in total dollars, or put it on a price per pound basis. Packard lines run consistently higher, 64, 70, 78 to 85, compared to Buicks at 55, 60, and 70 cents per pound. But lower initial cost was only part of the investment story. As the salesman made Father see, when he came to trade in the car 2 or 3 years hence, it would be worth hundreds of dollars more than Packard, because value was built into it originally, and because Buicks are popular. Father also liked the value he received in Buick's power and performance. True, at first he was impressed by Packard's advertised horsepower rating of 212. But as the salesman pointed out, for this slightly boosted rating, what a premium you pay. Anywhere from $730 to over $1,000 more than for Buick's 200 horsepower. Furthermore, Packard offers this rating only in 3 of its highest priced production models, and hence has no horsepower price combination to match what we can offer, especially in our top performing Century. And to further appreciate the plus values of Buick power, the salesman said, compare power plants themselves. Yes, Packard is still using the old L-head straight 8, now enlarged to where it takes up 50% more hoodroom than Buick's compact modern Fireball V8. The entire Packard car suffers because of its engine design. For one thing, styling is limited. The Packard engine's deeper, longer dimensions prohibit those low, sporty, rakish lines which Americans are showing they prefer. And not only does appearance suffer, interior roominess is affected too. The larger engine compartment required by the inline engine means less usable passenger space available. In addition, you can imagine what the straight 8's heavier design means in added front-end weight, and the implications of this in front-end wear, handling, and riding comfort. Buick, on the other hand, is much closer to the engineering ideal of more horsepower with less bulk and dead weight. In fact, by switching to a V8 power plant, Buick was able to substantially increase horsepower, yet at the same time provide an engine 25% lighter, 14 inches shorter, and 4 inches lower than before. Buick V8s also have such added advantages over Packard as 41% less piston travel, hence less engine wear, more horsepower per cubic inch of displacement, and the important feature of vertical valves. Packard valves are located in the block, immediately below the spark plug, the hottest place in the engine. In Buick's more efficient combustion chamber design, the valves are located vertically above the block in a naturally cooler position, where they are better able to perform their functions. And Buick's centered spark plugs mean shorter flame travel, hence more efficient firing of fuel. Father saw that Packard had fallen behind, too, with its 6-volt electrical system, on which it still relies for all of today's heavy power requirements. That growing list that runs from cigar lighter to the engine itself. Inadequate? Yes, compared to Buick's 12-volt system, used through all 4 series, which is more than ample for our modern high-compression engine and today's many power demands. To get across this and all the other advantages in the Buick V8 story, our salesman told it and then demonstrated it. On that important demonstration ride, Power had as its partner improved twin-turbine Dynaflow. Dynaflow, as Father was shown, accelerated, decelerated, and transmitted power at all drive range speeds, without gear shifting or mechanical lockup to detract from the complete smoothness of its hydraulic converter. In Ultramatic, Packard claims torque converter type transmission, but actually uses direct mechanical drive from 15 miles per hour all the way up to top speed. The benefits of the hydraulic converter are limited because it comes into use only for starting and accelerating to 15, then briefly in the passing range below 55, and this only when the driver steps down hard. At all other times, it locks up in direct drive. This off-again, on-again nuisance is, of course, completely absent in Buick. Yes, Father liked Dynaflow's greater driving ease, and Mother did too. In fact, she went for all the features of Buick that gave her so much more driving pleasure. We'll see some of the safety and convenience features that appeal to Mom just as soon as the operator turns the record. Consider Buick's superior visibility. 19 to 22% more glass area in Buick's advanced style panoramic windshield than in Packard's bygone day design. And totaling glass area all around, Buick tops Packard by a big 20 to 27%. By actual measurement, that's 4.5 to 6 square feet more. Mom was happy too with Buick's improved power brakes, so safe with their automatic auxiliary electric pump, which provides power for normal braking whether the engine is running or not. This is a feature not available on Packard power brakes. As for power steering, the Packard system lacks the integral feature of Buick. Their power assist unit works on the steering linkage below the car, an exposed position only a few inches from the road. Buick's safety power steering is, of course, an integral part of the steering mechanism and is mounted above the steering gear, protected from road dirt and damage. Even Packard's steering gear itself suffers by comparison. The conventional worm and three-tooth roller type, it is more subject to wear and play. Buick avoids this drawback with its recirculating ball bearing type steering gear. And what made fashion-minded daughter happiest about Buick? What but its all-new advanced styling, its longer, lower, sleeker look, its refined, integrated lines. This compared to Packard's squarish, ungainly, disproportionate look. Styling that has just not kept pace, either outside or inside. Buick's brand new high-visibility instrument panel, new aircraft-type controls, and the exclusive Redliner speedometer are all typical of Buick's interior style advances. Packard's conventional design fails to match this. In fact, while Buick has refashioned its entire line, Packard in 1954 has made no distinctive improvements at all over 53. Practically the same bodies, same sheet metal, same windshields, only chrome and grille details altered. In 54 Packards, the series are differentiated mainly by a few minor details, an amount of chrome loaded on. 4 doors, hardtops, convertibles, all cut from practically the same pattern. The man who pays more for a patrician gets nothing distinctively different to show for his larger investment. Buick designers, as Father and his family were shown, vary styling among series and models, with such distinctive touches as different types of front pillar posts, rear wheel cutouts and sweep spears, visor and roof rail cove treatments. Yes, with daughter especially, Buick's all-new styling really made a hit. Now, Grandma was particularly happy with Buick's greater riding comfort. To begin with, more room in Buick because of better use of space. Super and Roadmaster seats give more inches of shoulder plus hip room than Packard. Even the special, Buick's lowest price car, has more such room than the biggest Packards. The Packard ride lacks many refinements. Packard retains such specifications as Hotchkiss drive through rear springs and straddled rear shock absorbers on all models. And only Packard's higher-priced cars, by the way, are equipped with a rear axle radius rod for control of rear-end sway. Buick provides a rear axle transverse radius rod on all models and offers other advances, like torque-free coil springing on all four wheels and oversized double-action shock absorbers. The resultant steadier tracking and more constant ride cushion are typical of Buick's superior million-dollar ride all through the line. Of course, the whole family enjoyed the increased comfort provided by Buick's new high-air intake. This, as prospects should be told, admits cleaner, cooler air from above the car, has dual ventilation ducts, and has complete versatility for individual passenger comfort. Packard still makes use of a low-level type intake, and because it is so much closer to the road, it sucks in more dust, dirt, heat, and exhaust fumes. Another comfort comparison to drive home to help get prospects out of Packards and into Buicks. Yes, father, mother, daughter, grandma, they all found out what they'd been missing, but only when a Buick salesman went after father and used the right ammunition to unsell him on Packard. Packard, a car banking on a faded reputation of nearly 30 years ago, still clinging to yesterday's styling, still trying to squeeze more power out of an oversized L-head straight-eight engine, yet in the face of this, still overpricing itself. So when your prospects talk Packard, remember, sell Buick's advantages, and we have plenty. All new high-fashion styling, modern V8 power and performance, improved twin-turbine Dynaflow, million-dollar riding comfort, greater visibility, and superior options, all for less money, much less. And to get started using these advantages, you know the plan. Every day, as you send out at least 25 direct mail pieces, concentrate this week on Packard. 1. Mail at least 10 pieces to owners of 51s, 2s, and 3s. Second, 3 days later, contact these people and make a date for a demonstration. And third, during those demonstrations, use the comparison information from your automotive analyst in your sales talk as needed to close sales. Remember, Packard owners can be sold. In fact, they want to be sold. Last year, out of every 100 Packard owners asked, 36 said they would switch to some other make in their next car. Over a third of Packard owners have already made up their minds, and more can be persuaded when they get the Buick story from you. So encourage the migration. Start selling. Demonstrate your superior product. Ask for the order. Convince them that now is the time to make that switch to Buick, the beautiful buy.
My Buick, yes sir, my Buick, I love and buy.
Say this is the Buick dealership where you work, and that fellow getting out of his Ford Crestline is a prospect to whom you have sent some direct mail, followed up with a personal contact. And now, here he is for a demonstration. Of course, he may not drive a Crestline. Maybe it's a Bel Air, Chevrolet's top model. Or perhaps it's a Plymouth Belvedere. If it's any of these, you know this man's a prospect for a new Buick Special. Driving a top-line car in the low-price field shows that he is striving for something a bit beyond the ordinary, an extra dimension in quality, luxury, power, and prestige. So, to step him up into Buick, give him the 3D treatment. D for describe. In your presentation, compare features. Show how Buick lifts him entirely out of the so-called low-price world into a whole new dimension of automobile ownership, pride, and prestige. D for demonstrate. Open his eyes to Buick's genuine big car comfort, power, and performance on the road. And D for deal. Go for the close by showing with facts how Buick can be his at a price amazingly close to what he has been paying. Since Buick's new style will be seen first, make sure your prospect is really aware of our years ahead styling, which will keep him at the height of fashion for a long time to come. Advanced features like panoramic windshield, high air intake, and longer lower lines. And Buick gives them the big car prestige they've always wanted. The sleek, streamlined look of the Special is enhanced by its overall length of 206 3/10 inches. Ford, Chevrolet, and Plymouth measure 8 to 13 inches less than this. Definitely not in the big car class of Buick. And while Buick is all new for 54, look at the others. Plymouth, 53, 54. What's the difference? Same general profile both years. And look at Ford. Scarcely more than a rearrangement of chrome and small alterations in the grille for 54. Likewise, Chevrolet. Same general design for many years. All in all, buyers have little to distinguish their 54 Chevrolet, Ford, or Plymouth from last year's models. And 54 styling itself has a dreary sameness, model to model within these lines. Merely a bit of chrome changed here and there, and other traditional details varied. Buick, however, gets eye-catching variety between its models, with distinctive touches, such as full rear wheel cutouts, and different sweep spear treatments on the Riviera, which give sports car flavor. Inside the car, dramatically and graphically, show your prospect the new dimensions he'll get in interior style and comfort. Real big car comfort. And that means ample room to relax, even with a full load of passengers. Buick's total hip plus shoulder room is nearly 9.5 inches more than Chevrolet, a big 12 inches more than Ford, and 12.3 inches more than narrow Plymouth. And in Buick, too, he has a wide choice of durable nylon and cordovine combinations. In exterior colors, a grand total of 225 different combinations to choose from. With selectivity like this, the Buick owner can pick and choose to suit his tastes. Give your prospect the inside story, too, on Buick's new panoramic windshield, the feature that broadens his point of view and at the same time puts him in the forefront of fashion. Let him know that the Special gives 25% more windshield area than Ford. Buick's rear window, 7% more area. Compared to Plymouth, the Special provides 28.5% more windshield area, 21% more rear window area. And Buick beats Chevrolet by a big margin of 38% more windshield, 16% more rear window area. What important advantages these are. Sell them in terms of greater visibility. The same kind of dividend is found when you total up the glass area all around. 4 7/10 square feet more than Ford, 5 7/10 more than Plymouth, and a whopping 6.3 square feet more than Chevrolet. Buick gives visibility in full measure. To describe the benefits of Buick's high air intake compared to Ford and Chevrolet, talk in terms of cleaner, fresher ventilation combined with latest style. Ford and Chevrolet use the low front grille kind of intake, close to the road, where heat, dirt, and fumes are sucked into the passenger compartment. Against Plymouth's system, sell Buick's bigger capacity and smoother style. Plymouth's outmoded pop-up ventilator is both small and unsightly. And remember, in comparison with all these cars, sell Buick's dual system with its airplane-type controls, which give wide selectivity for utmost passenger comfort, winter and summer. Sturdy, easy-to-work controls, too, not flimsy nor stubborn. Now, practically every prospect is interested in one or more of the advantages that lots of power brings. And here you have one of your very biggest stories to tell. Buick's big car V8, leaving others so far behind they are hardly comparable. Both Chevrolet and Plymouth offer inline engines only, with just 6 cylinders each. Yesterday's engines that simply do not produce the lively power of Buick's rugged, modern V8. Chevrolet advertises only 115 or 125 horsepower. Plymouth, only 100 or 110. And as for Ford, its horsepower, too, is rated far short of Buick. 130, compared to the Buick Special's big 143 horsepower or 150 with Dynaflow. Buick's torque is greater, too, 228 and 240, compared to Ford, 214. Chevrolet, 200. Plymouth, 177 and 190. More usable power delivered to the rear wheels in Buick. And don't forget Buick's more generous specifications like these. Electrical system. Buick, 12 volt, compared to Ford, Chevrolet, and Plymouth, 6 volt. Hotter spark in Buick for high compression efficiency and ample reserve capacity for today's many, many power conveniences. And cranking speed. Buick's high 160 means easier starting with less battery drain. Plymouth obtains a speed of only 35 to 110 revolutions per minute. Chevrolet, 125, and Ford, 110 to 130. As for oil filter, the full flow type in Buick means better engine protection. Ford does use full flow, but Plymouth uses only a partial flow filter, and Chevrolet supplies none at all as standard equipment. And remember, only you can offer Buick's Fireball combustion chamber design with vertical valves for better lubrication and with centered spark plug and domed piston for more efficient firing of fuel. Both Ford and Chevrolet have the off-center plugs, tilted valves, and flat-headed piston design. And Plymouth's L-head design locates the valve right below the spark plug, the hottest place in the engine. And look at the distance the flame must travel to ignite the fuel over the piston. A disadvantage which helps explain why Plymouth's engine is antiquated, even by inline 6 standards. Describe Buick's superiorities, and then demonstrate. That's the second phase of the 3D treatment we talked about. Show your prospect what it's like to have Buick's greater power at his command, for performance as well as for safety. Give him a good taste of twin-turbine Dynaflow and the thrill of a new dimension in smoothness, silence, and getaway. He'll appreciate this exclusive Buick feature, especially if he's tried out competitive automatic transmissions. While Dynaflow's power curve is completely smooth, Fordomatic, Power Glide, and Power Flight curves are interrupted. This because of gas pedal or governor-forced upshifting and downshifting action, which is unnecessary in Dynaflow. And incidentally, Buick's side-by-side placement of reverse and low means quick selector change in rocking out of mud or snow. The Fordomatic and Plymouth Power Flight selectors lack this driver convenience. Plymouth also offers a high-drive transmission, for which they claim no shift driving. But compared to Dynaflow, it is only semi-automatic, simply reduces shifting operations, while Dynaflow completely eliminates all clutch pedal and gas pedal shifting. Plymouth High Drive retains the clutch pedal. Only its torque multiplication distinguishes it from the regular manual shifting setup found on standard transmissions. As you can see, Buick has many advantages. And possibly the biggest point is that these 3 cars simply do not have the engine power, do not have the automatic transmissions, to perform like the outstanding Buick Special with 150 horsepower and Dynaflow. As soon as the operator turns the record, we'll discuss more of Buick's superiorities over the low-priced field. In addition to performance, demonstrate, too, the new dimension that awaits your prospect in Buick's $1 Million Ride. Show first, with the chassis poster, the 16 big improvements. And then out on the road, demonstrate how the Special is equipped with the same type of riding specifications as the big, luxurious Roadmaster. For instance, coil springing on all 4 wheels. Ford, Chevrolet, and Plymouth all use stiff leaf springs at the rear wheels, which means less effective cushioning of the ride. And in conjunction with springs, be sure to explain Buick's torque tube drive, which directs the power thrust straight to the rear wheels, not through the rear springs, as does the competitive Hotchkiss drive. Buick, then, offers a more comfortable ride, less subject to motion due to power thrust or braking. Ford, Chevrolet, and Plymouth provide less cushion in their narrow 670 tires, which fit a rim width of only 4.5 inches. Buick's big 760 tires fit a wider 6-inch rim and provide a softer, broader cushion for even more passenger comfort. Neither Ford, Plymouth, nor Chevrolet have a rear axle radius rod for control of rear end sway. Buick, of course, is equipped with this feature, thereby leaving its shock absorbers free to concentrate on snubbing action. Compare, too, such basics as frame construction. While Chevrolet and Plymouth get by with box-type frames and Ford with ladder-type, Buick gives its customary double measure by using both cross members and X members for strength and a sturdier ride foundation. And the Special's tread, wider by from 2.25 to 4 inches, front plus rear dimensions. This helps give Buick better roadability and more stable riding. The Special's 122-inch wheelbase contributes to easier riding, too, a much longer comfort zone than Ford at 115.5 inches, Chevrolet at 115, and Plymouth stringing along at 114. Yes, you have a great ride story to tell and demonstrate, a story of the finest riding car Buick has ever produced, of luxury comfort for the occupants, of seating posture that's relaxing, of such driving ease that many hours can be spent at the wheel without fatigue. And there are many other features that will get your prospect closer to the dotted line when you demonstrate. When it comes to power brakes, get this. Ford and Plymouth lack the additional safety feature of Buick power brakes, that auxiliary electric pump which maintains braking power even if the engine is not running. Chevrolet does have a booster, though of a type different than Buick. As for the option of power steering, the Ford power unit is mounted on the steering linkage beneath the car, close to the ground, where it is exposed to road splash, dirt, and debris. Buick's unit, on the other hand, is the integral type, applying its power directly to the steering gear mechanism. Hence, it is mounted higher in a protected position. As for Plymouth full-time power steering, remind your prospect that it can give a helpless, unnatural feeling at the wheel, whereas Buick's safety power steering maintains a normal feel of the road, yet goes into action when needed, whenever more than 4 pounds of pull is required at the wheel. And for the last word in owner enjoyment, point out that you alone can offer your prospect air conditioning in the Special. This is an option not available even in the highest priced Chevrolet, Ford, or Plymouth models. Yes, feature by feature, you can show why the man who invests in Buick enters a whole new atmosphere of prestige in automobile ownership. Point this out to your prospect to help along his desire to buy. And when you have, go on to that third D. Talk deal. And what big news here? For Buick's low, low price, is making America sit up and take notice as never before. People are beginning to realize that even with all its luxury and big car features, there is not much difference between the price of Buick and top cars in the low-price field. That if they can afford any car, they can afford a Buick. At factory list prices, the Buick Special 4-door runs only some $344, $272, and $267 more than Bel Air, Belvedere, and Crestline 4-doors. And remember, the Special has from 20 to 43 more horsepower. The Special convertible runs only $345, $300, and $228 more than the same Bel Air, Crestline, and Belvedere models. And remember, Buick is completely new in '54. As for hardtops, the Special Riviera is only $219 more than the Bel Air, $132 more than the Belvedere, $161 more than the Crestline, and a low $59 more than the Crestline Skyliner. Remember, Buick gives more car in every way. Now, Buick also has another big 6-passenger sedan where the difference is even less. Our popular price leader, the Special 48D 2-door, which lists at only $2,009. That means it is only some $126 more than the Bel Air hardtop, $68 more than the Crestline, a mere $39 more than the Belvedere. And yes, $23 less than the Crestline Skyliner. Such a price story may well surprise your prospects, who thought that even the lowest priced Buick cost far more than the fanciest models in the low price field. But to really open their eyes and their pocketbooks, break down price figures to show the small difference per month they'd pay for Buick. Amazingly small. For example, after a 1/3 down payment and based on 24 monthly payments before finance charges, the big Special Riviera runs only $5.04 more per month than the Bel Air hardtop, $3.43 more than the Crestline, $2.66 more than the Belvedere, and just 59 cents more per month than the Skyliner. Yes, a difference of only pennies. But this still isn't all. Point out that Plymouth's best models lack about $30 worth of equipment that is standard on the Special. Direction signals, rear bumper guards, cigar lighter, replaceable oil filter, and variable speed windshield wipers. The Crestline and the Bel Air lack about $30 worth of equipment too. Oil filter, oil bath air cleaner, direction signals. All standard, of course, on the Special. Yes, in Buick, your prospect steps up into big car size, greater interior spaciousness, more luxurious riding comfort, much more V8 power and performance, more visibility, matchless improved twin-turbine Dynaflow, and superior options. All this combined with the most modern styling on the road today. To get all this firmly in mind, study your automotive analyst on Plymouth and your comparative data on Ford and Chevrolet. Then follow the regular plan. And in this fertile price field, give it all you've got. Concentrate for 1 week each on owners of 1, 2, and 3-year-old Plymouths, Chevrolets, and Fords. Out of your daily quota of at least 25 direct mail pieces, send 10 daily to these owners. Make your follow-up contact 3 days later by phone or in person. Get a demonstration date and fire away with comparative data as needed to close sales. You have a big target. A big, big target. Approximately 1 million people now driving top-of-the-line cars in the low-price field. They are susceptible to what you can offer. Buick Prestige, backed by solid value for every dollar invested. They want, more than anything else, to get into a better class. So give them the opportunity. Give them the 3D treatment. Describe, demonstrate, deal. And you'll soon be adding a big fourth D of your own. D for delivery. More deliveries of Buick. More dollars in your pocket when you step these prospects up to Buick by selling value rather than price.
Say that this fellow is you, or your buddy alongside of you, or any one of the men in your shop. For our little yarn here, we'll call him George, and he's a top-notch mechanic at Hometown Buick. Now, George really knows his way around the insides of a Buick, and he's faced and licked most of the tough mechanical problems likely to come up in service. So he got quite a shock, this time we're talking about, when he stubbed his toe on a tiny little thing a high school boy could have taken care of. That is, George didn't stub his toe, someone else did. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. It all started when he was first put on new car make-ready. With all George had on the ball, mechanically speaking, he figured it a cinch to handle this new car inspection and adjustment routine. One of the first cars he worked on was a new 56R. As the driver pulled it in, George's trained ear told him the engine wasn't just right. "This is my meat," he says. And he starts down the checklist with that engine in mind. Adjust the spark plug gap, ignition point gap, wiring. Could have been any of those, George thought, but they checked okay. Maybe the timing, he said to himself. Maybe the carburetor. And right here, you can see what was happening. He wasn't thinking about the next item on the list he was to check, battery gravity, but was really thinking about what caused that engine roughness. George wasn't too interested in minor details like checking batteries. Diagnosis was what he liked. So he concentrated his mind on that engine and just went through the motions on the other checkpoints almost automatically. And the inevitable happened. Long about item 10, install floor mat, he was anxious to start up the engine, which is item 11. So he quickly gave the mat a push and a prayer, tightened the sill plates, and was all set. Well, almost. Couple of wrinkles along the edge, but what the heck. Somewhere else along the line, still with most of his mind on that engine, another detail escaped him. See what I mean? Oh, but shucks. What's a little spot when you've got important things to think about? Or a scratch on the trim molding. Who's going to see that? And so it went, throughout that first fateful make-ready job. Well, in due time, the car was done, and a certain Mr. Daniels took delivery, driving out of the hometown dealership a very happy and very proud Buick owner. And like most new owners, he was hardly around the corner before he started fiddling with the gadgets. He says, think I'll have a smoke. Just press this lighter. So he waits a little longer. No pop-out. Stone cold. Oh, well, it's still a beautiful day, beautiful new car, smoking too much anyway. Think I'll have a little music. It's funny. Salesman said this radio was the best. Well, I have to get that looked at. Oh, well, be home soon. Boy, wait till Marge gets a load of this new beauty. Lots of power, smooth ride. Oh, boy. Yes, sir, a happy couple. What a dreamboat, and is really ours. Let Mrs. Jones down the street keep up with this. Step in, madam. Uh-oh. The lovely Mrs. Daniels looked somewhat awkward tripping over that wrinkled floor mat. And ladies don't like to look awkward. What's more, as she stumbled, she caught a glimpse of that spot on the upholstery. She doesn't like that either, especially in a brand new car that's just absorbed a part of their budget. Or this scratch, which she quickly found once she started looking the car over in earnest. Women can really spot details, you know. And pretty soon she was finding and imagining all sorts of things. And asking poor Daniels, was he sure it had a motor, and what in the world kind of a car did they get anyway? Well, to make a long, sad story short, you can imagine the size of the repair order when that car was hustled back to hometown Buick. Brand new? Why, according to the Daniels complaints, you'd think it was ready for a major overhaul. And all because George failed to take pains with all the make-ready on that car. Intent on what he considered the big problem, he didn't bother too much with the little things. Those little things that are so big to new owners. However, George didn't see it that way.
How do you like that? Why, I know that car checked okay when it went out, Ken, and the engine purred like a kitten. What do these people expect, anyway?
Well, it didn't take long for Ken Dunn, hometown service manager, to set George straight. Let's listen.
I know how you feel, George, but look at it this way. Our owners figure they've a right to expect nothing but the best in their new cars. Now take the Daniels, for example. He was really proud when he left here with his new Buick. Probably saved his money a long time for that moment, and was all set to start enjoying the new Buick features he'd been sold. Chances are he went right home to show it to his wife, or maybe a neighbor. I'll bet he started out doing a darn good job of boosting for us, too. But when we get a list like this, it's a pretty fair indication that we didn't do a thorough job of new car service. We missed here and there. And George, in this kind of work, we must cover all bases. Good mechanics like yourself are well able to handle most any problem of make-ready. The toughest thing you must do is remember to do everything. Little things, George, like this wrinkled floor mat. That could look like a big thing to a new owner. Even if it isn't serious, it might cause him to wonder what else is wrong with the car. The whole family goes over the car with a fine-tooth comb and criticizes things that are actually all right. The thing snowballs, and, real or imaginary, we've got troubles right off the bat. Once a customer really gets unhappy, he's hard to handle every time he comes in. He doesn't quite trust our service. So he gets the local gas station to do some of his work. Let's say they do a good job, and we lose a service customer. You know how it goes.
You make it sound pretty bad, Ken.
But it works both ways. If we keep the new owner happy right from the start, he's likely to stay that way. And when he likes that new car, you can just imagine what he tells his friends and neighbors. It's good advertising. He'll take our advice on service, too, so his car actually will run better. That makes him even happier, and he gets into the habit of coming in. If we take care of the minor items, it's an assurance to him that we can handle any big service job equally as well.
Sure, Ken, I get you. But all this new car make-ready takes a lot of time and trouble. I wonder if the customers really appreciate it.
Sure they do. But there's more to it than that. It's easier to take care of these things during make-ready than it is after delivery. And it really saves us time and trouble in the long run. If we do the job right the first time, he's sold on us, and sold on Buick for keeps. That's why we try to give you plenty of time on new cars, George, so you'll have a chance to do the kind of job that'll start making customers happy from the very first day they see and drive their new Buick. Look at all the things we do just for that one purpose. First, the cars are washed and checked over as soon as they come in, just to make sure there isn't any major work required or anything that will throw us off schedule. Then I write up the repair orders and send the cars to you. The sooner you have them, the more time for a good job. Of course, many times a car is sold even before we receive it. But the salesmen are pretty good about checking with us to allow us ample time to get the car ready before they set a delivery date. Most any owner will give us enough time if he understands that we need it to get his car in tip-top shape. Another thing, I try to make sure all the information is on the repair order. It would look bad if we ever forgot any accessories or some special customer requirement, such as raising or lowering a steering wheel. Finally, as you know, we make quite an occasion of the customer taking delivery. The salesman introduces him to me so I can show him around the service department. I show him our special equipment and facilities and explain how our Buick Care keeps Buick's best. Remember?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
We have each new owner meet a service advisor, so he knows someone to ask for specifically when he comes in next time. I go on to tell the owner about his service policy, how we always make sure it's filled in for his protection, so he'll have the proper credentials, no matter where he may travel. I explain what lubricare is, show him our parts department. In short, just try to make him feel welcome and let him know that we know our business, so he'll want to come back here for service. I show him a copy of your signed new car inspection and adjustment sheet, too. It makes a big impression on most owners to see everything we do to make sure their car is delivered in first-class shape. These things all help to build a new owner's confidence. But the car itself has to be in perfect condition when we deliver it. Perfect mechanically and sparkling clean inside and out. We can't afford to leave any dirt or grease or flashing from the undercoating or tag ends on the upholstery. We can't overlook any detail that might dull the owner's confidence. And, of course, the salesman explains all about the car, how the heater and defroster work, how to adjust the seat, all those things. So if a customer isn't happy when he leaves here, it surely shouldn't be because we don't try. We're better off all down the line if we avoid things like this repair order on the Daniels car. It's not a very pleasant experience for any of us. It disrupts the shop unnecessarily, ties up space and manpower, and makes the owner lose confidence in all of us. Check it carefully, and let's be sure the car goes out right this time, George. Okay?
Okay, will do. I'll make a satisfied customer out of Mr. Daniels. Me for the minor details from now on.
Taking care of these complaints quickly and completely will do it, I think. He still loves that new Buick.
Well, I hope I can remember all you told me. It makes sense.
You can remember if you keep just one thing in mind.
What's that?
Put yourself in the other fellow's shoes. If you were the new owner, what would you expect? Figure it out, then give it. That's the easiest and best way to win satisfied customers.
Inspection and adjustment check sheet lists 41 operations necessary to the preparation of 1954 Buicks for delivery. It's important that each one of these inspections and adjustments be performed carefully on every new car. Now, to an experienced mechanic, such operations as lubricare, adjust spark plug gap, or adjust ignition point gap are old stuff. They're easy to do, but they're essential to good performance. In the same way, it's not difficult to inspect upholstery for defects, damage, and dirt, and repair as necessary. But this operation is very essential because it's something every owner can see. Appearance items are so obvious that they have to be a must during new car make-ready. All the checks and adjustments are important, but it's on the new 1954 Buick features that you'll need information. So let's select a few operations from the check sheet, the ones concerned with new features, and see how they're handled. Adjust ventilator valves for free operation with no air leak. Although the heating and ventilating system has been redesigned for 1954 Buicks, this adjustment is the same as before. Both valves should close completely when controls are properly positioned. Tighten fan, power steering, and air conditioning belts if equipped. Adjust all these belts to a deflection of 3/8 of an inch. In addition to belt adjustment, air-conditioned cars will require further checks and adjustments as follows. Remove the cap and check the sight glass for a solid column of refrigerant. First, check refrigerant with the engine cold and running. Bubbles indicate that there is Freon in the system. After operating for 15 minutes, bubbles should disappear if the system is properly charged. Check the compressor intake and discharge lines for proper alignment. The vibrosorber connections must be free of binding or twisting. Check the 2 evaporator drain hoses for possible clogging or plugging by undercoating or foreign material. Following the functional chart on BPS Bulletin 2346, check the air conditioner's functional operation. Install floor mat. On all 1954 Buicks, the floor mat fits under the sill plates. To install the mat, remove sill plates and reinstall them over the mat. Be sure the mat is correctly positioned and free of all wrinkles. After the floor mat is properly in place, install the bottom screw in the dash mat retainer. The two top screws are installed at the factory. Adjust engine timing. Here's one you'll like. On 1954 Roadmasters, Centuries, and Supers, the timing mark is on the crankshaft balancer, as shown here. On specials, the timing mark is on the fan drive pulley. On all series, an index bracket next to the balancer or pulley is marked 0 at upper dead center and has reference marks 2 1/2 degrees on either side of 5-degree advance. Adjust throttle linkage, dash pot, choke unloader, and idle. The dash pot has been relocated on 1954 engines, and the accelerator linkage has been modified. But adjustment procedures are the same as on the 1953 V8 engines. These adjustments should be made after the floor mat is installed. Heater and defroster, adjust for proper operation. Adjust the defroster and auxiliary heater valves to close tightly when the control levers are in the off position. Also, adjust the Ranco valve for full on and off positions. Adjust parking brake and service brakes. All 1954 Buicks equipped with conventional brakes have the master cylinder located under the driver's side of the floor, as shown here. Check fluid level before installing the floor mat. 1954 Buick power brakes have an auxiliary vacuum pump, which maintains vacuum for power braking whenever the ignition switch is on and the engine is not running. Check the pump's operation with the ignition switch on, engine not running. Also, check the fluid level in the pump reservoir and fill if necessary. Adjust windshield wiper cables, arms, and blades for proper operation. All 1954 wipers are cable operated. To adjust cable tension, loosen the screw in the transmission shaft, as shown, and tap the top of the shaft lightly with the handle of a screwdriver until spring tension takes up the slack. Retighten the screw. Adjust steering wheel spoke position. Correct any dead spots in horn ring contact. On cars equipped with the optional vertical seat adjustment, it should not be necessary to change the vertical position of the steering column. On models with standard seats, steering wheel height can be adjusted to special customer requirements as follows. First, loosen the steering gear-to-frame bolts and remove the dash mat retainer screws. Next, loosen the bolts holding the mast bracket to the instrument panel, but do not loosen the bolts from the bracket to the upper cap. Now, adjust the height of the steering column as desired and retighten bolts. The wheel may be moved up or down 3/4 of an inch from its normal position. When retightening mounting bolts, be sure the sponge rubber grommet at the front of the dash fits snugly around the steering column. If necessary, loosen the grommet retainer to adjust. To reinstall the dash mat retainer screws, it will be necessary to drill new holes, using the shield as a template. After any change in steering column height, readjust the transmission shift linkage. This is necessary on both synchro mesh and Dynaflow. Adjust hood position, hinges, and latches. On 1954 Buicks, the hood release control has been relocated to the front of the car, but latch adjustment is essentially the same as for 1953 cars. The front end of the hood can be adjusted vertically by adding or subtracting shims under the rubber bumpers where the hood contacts the hood latch mounting panel. Adjustments on all 1954 hood hinges are similar to those on the Series 50 and 70 hinge shown here. Cage nuts and slotted bolt holes permit the hinge to be shifted forward or rearward to center the front of the hood. Be careful not to rotate the hinge when making a fore and aft adjustment. Also, all hood hinges can be rotated to change the vertical position of the hood. Turn the hinge toward the front of the car as shown to lower the front and at the same time raise the back of the hood. This adjustment affects fore and aft positioning only slightly. Before making any adjustment at the hood hinge, remove the counterbalance spring with a special tool. For removal, close the hood and install the tool from below as shown. Insert the 2 safety screws in the ends of the tool, open the hood, and lift off the spring. The rear hinge bolts on Series 40 and 60 cars are placed farther under the fender than those on Series 50 and 70 cars. To reach these bolts, use 9/16-inch starter wrenches. Adjust door fits, latches, handles, and operation. On 1954 Buicks in Series 40 and 60, there is a new rotary door lock. On Series 50 and 70 cars, the door locks are a modification of the lift bolt type used in 1953. The striker for rotary door locks is mounted over a cloth abrasive pad which prevents slipping when the mounting screws are tightened. The striker and pad may be adjusted up, down, in, or out to improve door closing or alignment. The overlap between the rotary lock bolt and the striker should be 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. To measure, coat the striker teeth with modeling clay and close the door so that a measurable impression is made in the clay. To adjust overlap, insert a special spacer between the striker and the abrasive pad. To adjust freewheeling on rear door rotary locks, remove the upper attaching screw and adjust the position of the connecting rod using a special tool as shown or a piece of bent wire. Move the rod forward to set the lock out of freewheeling or rearward to set the lock in freewheeling. Lubricate the rotary lock striker and the top of the lock bolt housing with stainless grease and wipe off excess lubricant. Door lock strikers on Series 50 and 70 cars can also be adjusted to improve door closing or alignment. The back surface of the striker plate is serrated to match the serrated plate in the body pillar. No abrasive pad is required for these strikers. To adjust the overlap between the striker and the lift bolt, insert a special spacer between the striker and pillar. Overlap should be 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. On lift bolt blocks, lubricate the roller and bearing surface with number 10 motor oil. Also, lubricate the striker with the same oil. Lightly coat the wedge plate bumper and the bottom surfaces of the upper and lower guides. Wipe off excess after lubricating. All 1954 door hinges are the swing-out type. Loosening the hinge bolts at the front body pillar permits front doors to be adjusted up, down, in, or out. To adjust front doors forward or rearward, or up or down, loosen the bolts at the door side of the hinge strap. Rear doors can be adjusted in or out at the center body pillar, or up or down at the door side of the hinge. To adjust the fore and aft position of the rear doors, add waterproof shims as required between the hinge strap and the center pillar. Adjust seat operation. Seat adjustment features should be checked carefully for operation. All Series 40 and 60 cars have the conventional 2-way manual seat adjuster. Models 76C and 76R have an electrically operated 2-way unit as standard equipment and an optional vertical adjusting feature. Series 50 cars have 2-way manual adjusters as standard equipment with electrically operated 2- and 4-way units optional. The Skylark has a hydraulically operated 4-way unit. Rearward travel of the manual units is restricted by bolts through the forward end of the 2 tracks. If it's desired to increase rearward travel, remove the front seat side panels and take out the bolts. Removal of bolts increases rearward travel about 3/4 of an inch. Convertible models. Lower and raise top, automatic windows and power seat, and adjust as necessary. Above will apply to sedan and hardtop models equipped with electric units. Fill pump reservoir with proper type brake fluid on hydraulic units. The proper fluid, Delco number 11. Positioning adjustments on 1954 convertible tops are similar in principle to those in 1953, but adjusting procedure has changed at some points. For example, the new male hinge support shown here can be adjusted vertically as well as horizontally without the use of shims. The control link and adjusting plate have been redesigned so that adjustments are diagonal instead of horizontal and vertical. Adjusting procedure, however, is unchanged. The front roof rail lock operates on a new principle. Cam-type lock strikers built into the sunshade supports can be adjusted up, down, in, or out to improve locking action. Guide plates and studs in the front roof rail control the lateral position of the rail. On cars with electrically operated windows, a separate electric regulator motor drives each window, so window operation must be checked individually. Test operation with both the driver's control and the individual controls at the windows. Caution: severe injury could result if window regulators are actuated while window glass is removed. When removing or installing glass, always break the power source to the window regulator by disconnecting the positive battery cable. Breaking connections at the individual terminal blocks does not completely open the motor circuits. On cars so equipped, check the operation of the electrically operated radio antenna. The operating switch is located on the lower edge of the instrument panel to the left of the steering column. Pulling the switch toward the driver should raise the antenna, and pushing the switch away from the driver should lower it. Check all glass. Adjust for normal operation. Replace defective or damaged glass. The wing assembly pictured here is on Series 50 and 70 convertibles only. To adjust closing tension, loosen or tighten the lower pivot adjusting screws as required. On all convertible models, the upward limit of glass travel can be adjusted by turning the stop screws on the inner door panel. To correct a cocked glass on bodies equipped with manual or electric windows, loosen the attaching screw at the rear stationary cam and adjust the rear end of the cam up or down as required. To correct a cocked glass on the Skylark, which has hydraulically operated windows, loosen the two screws holding the lower sash channel to the cam channel. Position glass as required and retighten screws. On models with ventilator windows, binding glass may be caused by a misaligned ventilator division channel. To correct, loosen the nut on the adjusting stud at the lower end of the channel, turn the stud as required, and retighten the nut. The lower end of the division channel can also be adjusted fore and aft. On hardtops and on convertibles with ventilator windows, the ventilator assembly can be adjusted in or out at the adjusting plate. Glass run channels attached to door lock pillars on both front and rear doors can be adjusted in or out by loosening the lower attaching nuts. Connect radio A lead. Check radio operation and repair if required. Set push buttons to local stations. The radio A lead should be routed over the steering column and connected to the lower unprotected terminal of the light switch. Inspect operation of all dash instruments and clock. Adjust or replace as necessary. The instruments are essentially the same as in past models, except for location and appearance. Be sure to check all instruments and electrical switches for operation. If it's necessary to repair or replace dash instruments, the bolted-in top section of the instrument panel is removable in all 1954 models. When removing the upper panel, disconnect the speedometer cable on Series 50 and 70 cars and the map light on Series 40 and 60 cars because they are attached to the panel. On Series 50 and 70 cars, there are two clip-in lights for the direction signal arrows, which are mounted in the upper section of the instrument panel. These are easily replaceable when the panel is assembled. To replace the radio dial light, drop the radio from the instrument panel and replace the bulb at the top of the radio. The tips we've just seen were designed for the mechanic working on new car preparation. If more complete service information is required on any of the new 1954 Buick features, consult BPS bulletins or the Fisher Body Service News covering the unit you're interested in. If you study all the available information, And if you perform each job as if the car were your own, you'll be proud to turn the new Buick over to the salesman and customer.
P.S. Delivery tomorrow. Here is a new car buyer who is getting all set to enjoy his new Buick. And that look of anticipation on his face is no accident either, because Jim Harkness of Hometown Buick did a first-rate job of proving to this customer that Buick is a beautiful buy. And with that job well done, Jim will certainly take no chances on that all-important P.S. to the deal, the delivery itself. He knows from experience that the manner in which the car is delivered can either set the stage for the owner's satisfaction or start him off entirely wrong. Jim makes it a point to be on hand at delivery time to see that his customer understands and fully appreciates his beautiful new Buick. That his customer is introduced to the service manager so that he may learn the advantages of having Hometown Buick service his car. All in all, Jim tries to send his customer on his way filled with goodwill by the personal interest that has been shown in him even after the order is signed. Now, if we were to catch Jim in a free moment and ask him just how he put that smile of goodwill on his customer's face, we might get an answer something like this.
Well, to me, good delivery is a three-part job. The first part occurs before delivery, and a lot depends on this if delivery is to be successful. The second part occurs when the new owner takes possession of his car. And the third part comes after he has had the car a short time. So, to begin with, before delivery, I always arrange a mutually agreeable time for delivery with the service department and with my customer. The purpose of this is to give the service department ample time for make-ready so the car can be delivered in perfect condition and on time. Then, once the car is ready, I put myself in the customer's shoes and look it over to see that there is nothing to detract from the all-important first impression. I pay close attention to all appearance and operation items. And also, I double-check against the original order to make sure that all of the equipment and accessories my customer ordered have been installed and that they're in proper working order. Now, all this takes a little doing, it's true. But I want to find out if there are any molehills that may become mountains once the customer drives away. I've learned from experience that once a customer finds something that is wrong, he will become very critical and find other things that to him are not right. Now, I always make it a special point, for example, to check the trunk. Has the spare tire been taken out for a removal of protective coating on the white sidewall? And incidentally, has the right tire been put back in? Well, I go over the car carefully, looking for anything that may have been overlooked in the make-ready department. If any additional work needs to be done, I send the car back for this work before accepting it for delivery. Sometimes, I've even been on the working end of a cheesecloth myself when the customer preferred to take delivery in the evening and I wanted the car perfectly clean. This sparkling new appearance is extra important. If the customer has been given a very good deal, and competition may have raised the question as to whether he was getting a new car for the money. Strict attention to all details, that's my rule. I even drop into the office to check through the paperwork, the bill of sale, registration certificate, financing papers if any, application for title, owner service policy, and identification card. Are they all in shape for final processing? If they are, then I'm all set to phone the customer and let him know his new car will be ready as promised, or will be ready even earlier if it turns out that way. Besides pleasantly surprising the owner, this early delivery helps merchandise the reliability of Hometown Buick. Yes, I'd say this business of advanced planning and checking is a vital first step to a successful delivery. Only after these things have been done can I confidently proceed with the next big item, the delivery itself.
The delivery itself. And there's nothing like a cordial greeting to give the feeling of personal interest, which will keynote the entire procedure. The first important item of business, naturally, is receiving the trade-in car, keys, and title, and turning them over to the used car manager. Then the used car's condition and equipment may be checked to see that they are the same as when appraised. Next comes the paperwork. And while getting the necessary signatures, Jim explains the various forms and what they mean to Mr. Burns. And he reminds him to transfer his insurance to the new car, a real evidence of personal interest in the owner's welfare. This done, the next move is to the new car itself. In his years of selling, Jim has become quite an expert on the psychology of the owner in those moments when he first lays eyes on his new automobile. There's much in common between him and the proud parent whose offspring may be only one of 10,000 born that day, but to him, there's only one baby in the world, his own. And to the owner, taking delivery of his new Buick is a big event in his life, as it should be. Now, don't think Jim is fooled by this unexpressive face. He knows that underneath there are feelings that would be represented something like this, if they were allowed to show. The customer is in a state of excitement. He is keyed up, his enthusiasm at a high pitch. He is in an ideal mood. To keep him that way, the first view of the car must live up to his expectations. Careful make-ready and Jim's check have already seen to that. Now, the script calls for some showmanship to help this mood along, and salesmanship to resell him on Buick. So, first, a little vocal fanfare to start things off.
Yes, that certainly is a beautiful car you picked out, Mr. Burns. And I'm sure its performance as well as its looks will please you.
Yes, it is quite an automobile.
Next, help him look the car over and point out such things as...
You'll have added safety and visibility because you can see perfectly through this panoramic windshield. In fact, it has 19% greater visibility. And I like this interior combination particularly. It's colorful yet practical and will wear well. You made a good choice here, Mr. Burns.
Didn't Jim tell all this to Mr. Burns when he was trying to get his order? Yes, he did. But he's not going to let him forget it for one moment. Reselling during delivery is one way of making sure your customers stay sold. And along these lines, now is an additional opportunity to do some suggestive selling on any comfort, convenience, or safety accessories that were possibly overlooked during the new car sale. Jim then moves right ahead to demonstrate the features. Here, the objective is to make sure Mr. Burns understands the function and operation of his entire car. Otherwise, he may think some part of it is faulty through ignorance of how to use it. Without this understanding, the owner is sure to consume valuable service department time in a few days, coming in with a complaint that stems from lack of operating know-how. Know-how that means so much to full appreciation of the new car. So, Jim does a thorough demonstration job. The instrument panel, radio, seat adjustment, operation of electric windows, location of map light. All simple when you're used to them, but mysterious when actually handled for the first time by the new owner. Features requiring a more detailed explanation include the heater and defroster.
And finally, this control operates both the auxiliary heater and right ventilator. Place it in center position like this if you want no air circulation. To recirculate inside air, simply move it up. To take in fresh outside air, just move it down. Easy to operate, isn't it? And this system lets you select your own comfortable temperature in any kind of weather. Now that's real flexibility. The controls are in easy reach, too.
Now, if Mr. Burns' car had an air conditioner, Jim would certainly demonstrate its operation. We'll see just how he would do that as soon as the operator turns the record. Jim would explain that in order to have efficient operation, the dash vents, windows, and vent panes must all be closed. And he would go on to cover all the Buick air conditioner operating and control instructions, including winterizing and cleaning.
So all you have to do then is turn this switch on and you're all set. You'll find this air conditioner one of the most enjoyable accessories you can get. It will make your summer driving pleasant, even on very hot days.
Not simply how it works, but what it means to the customer. That's the approach. Jim talks about each feature in terms of its advantages, safety, comfort, convenience.
Another important safety feature is the emergency brake, located right where you can operate it in an instant. Just step on it, and it takes effect immediately. The brake is released when you pull out the brake release button.
At the same time, Jim prevents future complaints by being careful not to misrepresent a feature and thereby give exaggerated notions of what may be expected from it. Now, outside the car.
For convenience, the hood release has been placed up here in front. That means the gas station attendant can open the hood without your help whenever it has to be raised. Try it yourself to see how easy it works.
And of course, Jim doesn't forget the trunk and instruction in the use of the jack. Now, if Jim were delivering a convertible, he would show how the snug fit of the boot into the seat trough seals out damaging dirt and gives a trim, finished appearance to the car. And he demonstrates proper folding of the top fabric and stress the importance of strapping the top down to prevent chafing and unnecessary wear. And of course, he'd show how to lock the top in position at the windshield.
This new locking device has been designed for both ease and security in fastening. As the top comes down on the guide pins, just turn this center locking handle as far to the right as it will go. The top is drawn down into position automatically. Now, feel free to ask questions if anything is not clear.
The customer should be encouraged to ask questions so you can again go over anything that has not been understood. And future questions should be anticipated whenever possible.
For easy reference, you'll find information on proper tire pressure for best riding quality and long tire life on this little sticker inside the glove compartment door. And of course, Mr. Burns, in order to get the thousands of miles of driving pleasure you can expect from this car, you'll want to give it the necessary care during the break-in period. Buick recommends driving no more than 50 miles per hour for the first 500 miles, and to avoid any sustained speeds above 50 miles per hour until the car has been driven 1,000 miles. A special oil has been put in the car to protect the engine during the break-in period. This oil is gradually consumed by the engine, so we recommend a frequent oil check during your first few hundred miles. This and all other information you'll need, you'll find here in your owner's guide, Mr. Burns. It contains valuable information on the operation and care of your new car, such as battery information, changing of tires, defroster operation, care of finish, general maintenance instructions, and many other important points. I think you'll want to read it as soon as possible, and then refer to it regularly for service suggestions.
By now, Jim is ready to introduce Mr. Burns to the service manager, who will explain to the new owner the advantages of Buick service and regular preventive maintenance of the new car. The service manager escorts Mr. Burns through the service department, showing him the trained manpower, special equipment, and facilities. Then he explains the contents of the owner's service policy. In addition, he introduces Mr. Burns to a service advisor who will be able to assist him when he comes in later on.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Burns. And I'll look for you when it's time for your 1,000 and 2,000 mile inspections. As you know, they're mighty important. And your fine new car should have Buick Lubricare every 1,000 miles, too. And every 25,000 miles, the Dynaflow oil should be replaced. For these jobs or any others, don't hesitate to come in.
All this is designed to inform Mr. Burns and make him want to come where he knows there are people interested in him and his new Buick. Remember, the important thing is to make the new owner see the advantages of bringing his car back to hometown Buick, where all his requirements get specialized attention. Convince him that here at the hometown service department is the specialized Buick care that keeps Buicks best. As Mr. Burns prepares to leave, Jim arranges to accompany him on a demonstration drive. This is of special importance, since his new Buick is equipped with Dynaflow, power brakes, and power steering none of which Mr. Burns has used before. Jim takes the wheel.
So you see, it's easy to select park, neutral, reverse, and the forward positions with Dynaflow. Now, when you want to move forward, simply set the indicator at drive. Then touch the accelerator like this. Notice the smooth, quiet getaway? And you see how Dynaflow does away with all that pedal pushing. Now, with Buick safety power steering, watch the ease with which I turn the wheel and the quick response of the car. The power assist does 80% of the work. Oh, you'll enjoy this entirely new driving ease. And easy does it with power brakes, too. Very little pressure is needed for braking action. Power takes the work out of it for you. Notice the low position of the pedal. It's on a plane with the accelerator, so you can easily pivot your foot from accelerator to brake. Or, if you prefer, you can brake with your left foot. The pedal has extra width for that purpose.
After a few blocks drive, Mr. Burns takes the wheel and, following Jim's example, operates these features himself. Once he's mastered them, he drops Jim off at the dealership. As Jim leaves, he expresses his continuing interest in Mr. Burns' satisfaction.
I know you'll enjoy your new Buick tremendously, Mr. Burns, and I'm going to give you a call soon to see how you're getting along. In the meantime, if I can be of service to you in any way, please don't hesitate to call on me. You'll find a card in the glove compartment with both my business and home phone numbers listed.
Then, Jim closes with thank you.
I want to tell you that it's been a pleasure to do business with you, Mr. Burns. I certainly appreciate your patronage.
Well, Jim, I certainly appreciate your taking time to go over all this with me.
Not at all, Mr. Burns. We want you to get full enjoyment out of this wonderful new car of yours. And by the way, I know you'll be showing your new Buick to your neighbors and friends in the next few weeks. If any of them show interest in having one of their own, I'd consider it a real favor if you'd let me know.
All right, Jim. I'd be glad to do that.
Judging by that look of pride, another good first impression of Buick is well on its way toward being a lasting one. Of course, some Buick buyers will resist a complete feature demonstration. They're in a hurry and may think they know all they need to know. But even so, a strong attempt should be made to take a demonstration ride with the new owner. It emphasizes your interest in the customer's welfare. A good rule to keep in mind is always assume every customer needs to learn something about his new car. This will be especially true of first-time Buick buyers, but it goes for repeat customers, too. Careless treatment like, "There's your car, Mac, just hop in and go," is likely to backfire into something like this on the part of that good customer. This dealership showed some interest the first couple of cars I got, and now they're getting pretty sure of themselves. Maybe I ought to take my business elsewhere. So, always assume the customer needs to learn. Now, after delivery, Jim makes 2 follow-up calls to Mr. Burns. The first, 3 days after delivery to check and see if everything is all right. And the second, 2 weeks later. This second call might go something like this.
Hello, Mr. Burns. Jim Harkness of Hometown Buick. Still enjoying your new Buick?
Oh, hello, Jim. Yes, it's a wonderful car, and I'm enjoying it fine. The whole family's in love with it.
Fine, I'm glad to hear it. Have any of your friends expressed an interest in having a Buick?
Well, as a matter of fact, the man next door did just that the other day. Roy Williams is his name.
I'd like to call on Mr. Williams and see if I can be of service. He lives next door to you?
That's right, Roy Williams, 723 Vinewood. I told him how well you took care of me, Jim. He'll probably be interested in 4-door models.
A new prospect to go to work on, because Mr. Burns' first impressions of his own new Buick and of the entire Hometown Buick dealership were good impressions. As Jim would sum up,
the key to successful delivery is largely a matter of strict attention to details to make sure that when the big moment arrives, it will go off without a hitch. And also, in taking a personal interest in the customer. I make him feel that I am personally interested in seeing that he gets a perfect car, that he fully understands its operation, and that my interest in his satisfaction will continue even after he drives out the door. Those activities that take place before delivery provide the perfect car. This means setting a delivery date that can be met, double-checking the condition of the car, and being certain the paperwork is in order. Then, during delivery, I can ensure customer understanding of operation by a careful demonstration of features, and I try to remember the value of putting plenty of showmanship and sell into the picture. Also, I realize the part that introduction to the service department plays in convincing the customer of our continuing interest in his satisfaction, and I make the most of this special occasion. Then, after delivery, I make follow-up calls to check on satisfaction and ask for names of interested prospects. All of this is a part of the delivery process, and the way I look at it, making proper delivery is like taking out an insurance policy. It protects the efforts I have put into the sale and creates good impressions that will pay future dividends in the form of goodwill and additional sales.